This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Mets chased Paul Skenes in the first inning and picked up their first opening day win under manager Carlos Mendoza. Welcome in. This is the Locked On Mets Postcast here live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, starting year 3 of the Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel. We've got the Mets chasing Paul Skenes in the first inning. We've got the new look lineup for the New York Mets. We've got Freddy Peralta making his debut. And oh yeah, Carson Bench hitting a home run in his first game as a New York Met. Lots for us to unpack as the Mets start their campaign 1-0. But let's get to it because didn't have this on the bingo card. The Mets, they chased Paul Skenes in the first inning today.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Was a 5-run first today for the New York Mets, albeit a little assisted by O'Neal Cruz and his 2 defensive miscues there in the bottom of the first inning. But the Mets able to get Paul Skenes out of there just 2/3 of an innings pitched. He threw 37 pitches, and yes, aided by those 2 O'Neal Cruz blunders out there in center field. But you saw it from jump today what this new Mets lineup is going to look like. I mean, I have the box score here in front of me. I've got my scorecard that I keep track of the game as I'm watching it. And Bichette knew, Polanco knew, Robert Jr. knew, Simeon, Benj, Francisco Alvarez didn't play opening day last year. So a lot of new if you look at opening day this year compared to opening day last year. And the Mets showed off what their new approach is going to be. They scored 9 of their 11 runs without hitting the long ball. They added those after the fact, and it was quality at-bats. Got started right away with Lindor drawing a walk and balls just getting put in play, allowing the Mets to extend innings. I mean, you had Jorge Polanco in this game, beat out an infield hit, couldn't have placed it any better. Luis Robert in that first inning, what an at-bat he put together to draw a walk, and that set up Brett Baty to have the big hit, the ball that goes over the head of O'Neal Cruz that dunks in for a 3-run triple, clearing the bases, giving the Mets the lead, and they never looked back from that point. I failed to mention Bo Bichette working a solid at-bat to get a sacrifice fly to draw in a run as well. And so the trade-off you at least saw early in the game was, hey, we're not going to maybe hit as many home runs as we did last year, but we're not going to strike out as much. We're going to keep the line moving. And they were able to put maximum pressure on Paul Skenes and this entire Pirates pitching staff. I mean, the Mets drew, 9 walks in this game? Carson Bench had a pair of walks. Trust me, we'll get to him today on the show. Robert drew a walk. Polanco with 2 walks. Lindor didn't try to do too much. He had 3 walks. This was everything and then some, what we would have wanted from the New York Mets and this lineup here on opening day. They have the best win percentage on opening day in all of baseball, albeit for Carlos Mendoza each of the last 2 years. They haven't picked up that opening day victory. They did today, and it was on the backs of a brand new look lineup, and just doesn't get any better than what you saw today. Excited from all of the new faces. Every single one of them contributed in some way on the offensive end. Bichette with the sac fly early, Polanco with the 2 walks in the infield hit, Robert had an RBI hit. He had 2 RBIs in the game. Marcus Simeon was 2 for 5. Carson Bench hits the home run. I mean, just everybody new in this lineup contributed, and they mentioned it a ton on the Peacock broadcast, but the Mets just have a philosophy of we are going to pass the baton. We are just going to keep it moving from one guy to the next. And you never really felt, maybe outside of the first 2 Carson Bench at-bats where you could tell the nerves were getting to him, there wasn't this approach of, I've got to hit it 430 feet. I've got to hit a home run here. It was just station to station, take what we're getting. I mean, when you wake up this morning to get ready for the first game of the season, you know who you're facing on the other side of the diamond. It is the reigning, defending NL Cy Young winner. It's a guy who was picked and represented well in the WBC for Team USA. Best of the best that you're going up against there on the other side, and you were able to just take what he gave you. You took advantage of some luck going your way because Oneil Cruz made those 2 misplays out there in center field, and you were able to get off to a nice start, and you really never looked back after that 5-run first. You were in control of the game from then on. Let's talk about Freddy Peralta here. His debut for the New York Mets, and you look at the box score and you may say, oh, four runs over the 5 innings, the 6 hits. Not the Freddy Peralta that I thought I was signing up for when the Mets traded 2 of their top prospects to get him in the offseason, in the wintertime. But I thought Freddie battled. I mean, anybody not named Brandon Lau, he had a pretty good handle on. Brandon Lau got him for 2 home runs, including one of which I still need somebody to explain to me how the first Brandon Lau home run actually got over the right field wall. I believe, and I don't have the Baseball Savant page up, but I saw somebody sent to me that it apparently had a expected batting average of under 100. Now, I don't know if that is just some lies that were told on the internet, or if that actually was the case. I'll try to pull it up here, but it just felt like so unlucky for Freddie early with that home run getting out from Brandon Lau. And he kind of recovered. He had an 0.30 expected batting average on the ball that Brandon Lau hit out for the home run that made it 2-0 Pirates early. I think he settled down really well after that, struck out the next 4 batters, finished the day with 7 strikeouts, and you saw it all. You saw fastball Freddie, right? He featured that 4-seam, and you saw what is going to allow him to go deep into games for the Mets here. Showed off the change, showed off the curve, showed off the slider. Those things certainly had the break early on in the game. They had those nastiness, but as his pitch count crept up there late in the 4th and 5th innings, just kind of lost a little sharpness on those. But I think for him, good start. Worked up his pitch count. I think he finished with 80 pitches in this one, and so certainly a good first marker for Freddie in his debut. And then he passed it to the other guy that came over in that trade. It was Freddie to Tobias Myers, and I thought Myers did a great job carrying the baton and not making it where the Mets had to use a ton of their bullpen in this game. We will get to how the game ended and the unfortunate thing where we had to see Devin Williams at least get up, stand up, and take off the jacket and try to loosen up there in the bottom of the 9th. But I think overall you're happy with what you saw from Freddie in this one. And again, early on in the season, not going to push him too far, still lacking that sharpness, the rust still being worn off, but I think a good first start for Freddie in this one. A ton to keep an eye on here from this game. We haven't talked about Carson Benj yet. We haven't talked about the ABS system, which we saw the Mets use a couple of times in this one. So we will get to all of that here, plus what is next up for the Mets. It is an off day tomorrow, but we'll preview the weekend as well. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old ways of doing taxes is, well, a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with stacks of paper, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. This week's MLB Top 100 highlight brought to you by MLB The Show 26, the latest from the beloved video game franchise. We're going to highlight some of the stars of MLB's Top 100 player lists, the elite names you'll be controlling, building around, and going head-to-head with in MLB The Show. How about a shout-out to Freddy Peralta, number 48 in MLB's Top 100? You saw most of the qualities of what makes him the ace, the opening day starter for the New York Mets. That same dominance shows up in MLB The Show 26, upgraded ratings, new animations, and the improved gameplay feel. If you're a Mets fan, I know you are. If you want to get out there and pitch with Freddy Peralta, this is the guy you build your franchise around. And with the show, you can do exactly that. That's this week's MLB Top 100 highlight presented by MLB The Show, where you can play, manage, and build with your favorite players and teams. If you love talking baseball, you'll love playing it even more. Visit MLBthe.show/lockedon and use the code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and X, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Back here on the first postcast of the 2026 season here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Chris Schubert, your postcast host. Good to be back. Missed all of you. Had to shake off the rust a little bit. It's been a while since we've been here talking Mets baseball. I'm sure Ryan will have some thoughts as well on the main Locked On Mets show as the Mets start their season 1-0. So make sure you check that out as well. But yes, good to be back. Excited to be talking about Mets baseball. And I'll tell you what, despite it being a more than 3-hour baseball game, you know, MLB trying to shorten these games up, trying to make it a little easier for us to consume these games, I didn't mind a 3+ hour game today when we got to see the Mets play as well as they did today. And the stuff to keep an eye on, boy, was it a great debut for Carson Bench. And I thought what was most encouraging for Bench in this one, he got better with the at-bats as the game went on. His first at-bat was a 3-pitch strikeout in the middle of that 5-run first inning, and you could tell it was so obvious that the nerves were getting to him. He got up there, and he was jacked up. He was amped up. The adrenaline was flowing. He could see that that was a huge moment in the game, and he really wanted to try to make something happen for his team. And I had a buddy text me. He was like, okay, he got that out of his system. He's gonna be fine here once he can get that first hit. And then his second at bat, it was another strikeout, but he saw more pitches, worked the count. And then from there, it was a walk in the 5th. He came around to score on that. It was a battle. He really did a nice job working that count and drawing that walk. And then it is the moment that will be talked about probably for the rest of the day. It was the home run there in the 6th inning, a no-doubter. He got it, was amped up. His first MLB hit happens to be a home run, and you saw the power. You saw the ability to work counts, draw walks. He stole a base in this game after he drew his second walk there in the 8th inning. And so it was on full display for Carson Bench out there, making the team, the opening day right fielder. And by the way, I don't know how many of you were able to watch the pregame, the introductions for everybody, but I got to tell you, I think Carson Bench got the loudest ovation out of anybody. And that's saying something when Lindor, Soto, Brett Beatty, Francisco Alvarez, I mean, you got a lot of guys that have been here for a while that are beloved. I mean, we love Francisco Lindor. We love Juan Soto. I got the Soto jersey on today for opening day, but I thought it was Carson Bench who got the loudest ovation because we all know, I mean, this is a homegrown guy, first-round pick, super exciting future, and you can just, you know the type of impact that he can have for this team, and he had it here on his first day out there in right field. The ABS system, what a use of the ABS by Francisco Alvarez. In what was that? What inning that was? That was the 3rd inning. He used the ABS on a 3-2 pitch to O'Neal Cruz that was called ball 4. They used the ABS a little early. I'm going to be really fascinated to see what the Mets' philosophy, and really across baseball, what the philosophy is for using the ABS. Do you try to hold your 2 challenges till late in the game? Do you kind of let stuff go in the first couple of innings because you want them for those high leverage at bats in the 7th, in the 8th? Going to be really interesting to see how this is deployed throughout the course of the season. But I thought a great moment there to use it. 3-2 difference between a walk and a strikeout. It was a great use by Francisco Alvarez because he was right. It ends up being a strikeout of O'Neal Cruz, and Brandon Lau hits a home run in the next at bat. So saved the Mets a run there. If there is no ABS, they have to let that be ball 4. You can't assume that Lau's going to hit the home run, but if he does, it's now a 2-run shot instead of a solo shot. So I thought a great job by Francisco Alvarez there. The Mets were the team that used the ABS the most today. Can't remember if the Pirates used one at all. But anytime Francisco Alvarez did it, it was the right call. It was good by Francisco Alvarez. I think Jorge Polanco used one and he was not right. Or I think it might have been Marcus Semien. One of the two used one and they were not correct. Francisco Alvarez, really good understanding of the strike zone back there. And he did a very, very nice job. Also, the Mets bullpen advantage New York for the rest of the weekend. They forced the Pirates to use 7 pitchers, 6 relievers after they chased Skenes in that first inning. The Mets used their long man, Tobias Myers, for 3, and then they used Luis Garcia for an inning. So they're fresh. Their high leverage arms are ready to go for the weekend. The Pirates relishing that day off, but you don't expect them to overwork these guys in the early part of the season. So that does hurt them going into the weekend. So advantage Mets. You don't love the fact that the Pirates are able to score 2 in the 9th, and Luis Garcia makes a little bit of a mess of it to the point where Devin Williams is stirring. I think that's the word that I would use to describe his getting ready out there in the bullpen. You don't love to see that, but you didn't have to use him. It didn't seem like he was getting fully ready to go, so that shouldn't impact his availability there over the weekend. So advantage Mets the rest of the weekend in terms of the pitching matchups. With the bullpen being used, you're able to win the start against Skenes. You're able to chase him in the first inning. I mean, it couldn't go any better for the Mets. 5 for 15 with runners in scoring position as a team. They did strike out 10 times, but you just felt like the quality of the at-bats were so much better in this one. And the Mets back in the win column on opening day. I think I mentioned it early on in the show, but last 2 seasons, no opening day wins for Carlos Mendoza. So he picks up his first one. And, oh, hey, Francisco Alvarez goes back-to-back with Carson Bench. We can't forget the absolute moonshot that Alvarez hit, 429, 430 into the second deck in there in left field. As mentioned, it is an off day tomorrow for the Mets. They are back in action on Saturday. Another really good pitching matchup. This is what the Pirates do really well. They have a very good, solid pitching staff. So it'll be Mitch Keller going for the Pirates on Saturday. The Mets will throw out their lefty. It'll be David Peterson making his first start in 2026. So there you go. Our first one in the books. We'll be back on Saturday to break down all things Mets as they'll go for the series win against Pittsburgh. So we're good. First one in the books. We dusted off the cobwebs. We got ourselves comfortable, and the Mets picked up a win here on opening day. Please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already. If you're new to joining us for the postcast, either on the YouTube side, or if you're listening to us after the fact in the podcast feed and you want to join us live, the moment the game is over, we go live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel today. We're also live on the Locked On MLB channel and the Locked On Podcast Network channel as well for this opening day win for the New York Mets. So you can join us live, share your thoughts. Consider this your venting session after the game. You can share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we'll get through it all together here on the postcast. But that will do it for us here as the Mets pick up an opening day win 11-7 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The storyline, they chased Paul Skenes in the first inning, and they never looked back, and it was a great day for Carson Bench. A day off tomorrow. We're back at it on Saturday with David Peterson on the mound against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Until then, have a good one, Mets fans.